Let us start the topic of arrays. The first question arises that why we use arrays. Basically, arrays are used when there is need to use many variables of the same type. A programmer has to specify the type of element and number of elements which are required by an array. Arrays are commonly used in computer programs to organize data for easy processing. Actually, an array is a data structure that contains a group of elements. Typically, these elements are all of the same type, such as integer or character. Now let us discuss that what is an array. An array is a fixed size container of contiguously allocated object of same type. An array is a derived data type that is derived from fundamental data types. It is collection of the same type that are referenced by a common name. An array consists of contiguous memory locations. An array can have data item of the same type like int, character, float, or any other user-defined type like structure, objects, etc. So an array is collection of items stored at contiguous memory location. The idea is to declare multiple items of same type together. An array is collection of values that have the same data type. For example, a collection of int data values or a collection of float data values. We refer to all stored value in an array by its name. It shows example of array having length 9. First index of array is 0. Last index is 8. 0 to 8 mean length of array is 9. Now advantages of array. It is used to represent multiple data item of same type by using only single name. So usage of that single name is one of the benefits of array. It can be used to implement other data structures like linked list, stack, queues, trees, and graphs. That is another benefit of arrays. 2D arrays are used to represent matrices. Limitation of arrays. We must know in advance that how many elements are to be stored in array. Array is static structure. It means that arrays are fixed size. The memory which is allocated to array cannot be increased or decreased at runtime. The elements of array are stored in consecutive memory location. So maybe consecutive location is not available in memory. So in this scenario, program will create exception. Since elements of array are stored in consecutive memory location, so insertion and deletion are very difficult and time-consuming tasks in arrays. Types of an array. Single dimension or 1D array. Then multi-dimension or multi-dimensional array. Commonly used multi-dimensional arrays are 2D arrays. Various ways to declare 1D array. Array declaration by specifying size of the array. It shows size 10. Int shows type of element within array. ARR is name of array. 10 is size of array. Another way of declaring 1D array is array declaration by initializing elements of that array. Int mean type of elements of this array is integer. ARR is name of array. Then these values are initialized, that is 10, 20, 30 and 40. Mean it's array of size 4. So in this case, compiler creates an array of size 4 and above is same as int ARR4 of these 4 values. Both are equivalent, this one and this one. Array declaration by specifying size and initializing elements. Int ARR, its size of array, mean 6. These are initial values. 10, 20, 30 and 40. Compiler creates an array of size 6, initialize first 4 elements as specified by the user, mean these 4 values 10, 20, 30 and 40, and rest 2 elements are zeros, and above is same as like this one. So that is array having these 6 values. Accessing array elements. Array elements are accessed by using an integer index. Array index starts with 0 and goes till size of array -1. Suppose n is size of array, then index of array will increase from 0 to n -1. Following are few examples of accessing array elements. Its a main function, its array declaration, its storage of elements at different locations of array, that is at 0th location mean first element is 5, second element is -10, third element is 2, fourth element is element located at 0th location, that is 5. That is the display of elements of array, first element, second, third and fourth element. Return 0. Mean we use index in square bracket followed by name of array to access elements of array. 1D arrays, we use one-dimensional array to store and access list of data structure in an easy way by giving these values a common name. For example, int x4, int is data type, x is name of array, capacity of this array is 4. Here all values are named as x. First value is x of 0, x of 1 is second value, x of 2 is third value and x of 3 is fourth value. Array out of bound runtime error. All C++ one-dimensional array with n entries start at index 0 and ended at index n -1. Const int n is equal to 5, int v of n. This array contains 5 entries and the numbering of these 5 entries will be from 0 to 4. It is a common error to try to access the nth entry. For example, v of 5 or v of n or any other higher entry, since the index of the last array element is n-1, not n or any other greater value. Initializing 1D array. One important point to mention here is that array is a pattern of consecutive locations, and the best method to process any pattern is usage of loops. So we should use loops and preferably counter loops to process array. So there are two common ways to initialize 1D array, that is by using for loop. For example, int x of 10 mean an array having 10 element, that is for loop. Loop control variable is index, int index is 0, index is less than 10, index plus x of index any value, suppose that is index +1. Then another way is to ask the user to enter values of array. Its statement of loop, index starting from 0 less than 10, index c in x of index. It's a method of using loops. Another way of initialization of 1D array is specifying list of values while declaring the 1D array. For example, it's declaration of array int x of 10 and these are 10 values in this array. Int y is equal to 0, 0, 0 mean this array contains 3 entries with 0 values. Double z of 100 is equal to 0 in curly brackets. This array contains 100 0 values. Then double w of 20, 5, 3, 1 the capacity of array is 20, but here we are using only 3 values. So this array contains 20 entries. The first 3 entries are initialized by 3, 5, 3 and 1 respectively, while the remaining 17 entries are automatically initialized by 0. That is very important point. Bool pass 10 is equal to true, comma true. It's an array pass of type bool having capacity of 10 element, and here only 2 values are initialized in this array. So this array contains 10 entries. The first 2 entries are initialized to true, while the remaining 8 entries are automatically initialized to false. False means 0 values. So in case of bool value, we will use true and false. Now displaying values stored in an array, it's a wrong way. That is int x having 10 values, cout x. It's not an array. An array must follow an index. So it's a wrong way of accessing elements of array. What is the correct way? Int x is 10. Display one value per line to user by using loop for int index is equal to 0, index less than 10, index plus plus, cout x of index en dl. So it will not display any element of array. It's incorrect way. It's correct way. Since array have capacity of 10 element, so use loop to process 10 elements. Simple example, read values and print them in reverse order by using array. Its main function int x of 5. X is array having capacity of 5 elements. It's an index, basically loop control variable. A user defined text message. Statement of for loop to process this array having 5 elements. Read these 5 elements from user. User defined text message to display values in reverse order. Statement of for loop to display elements of array in reverse order starting from maximum index, that is 4. Index is greater than or equal to lowest possible index, that is 0. Index minus minus and display x of index. It's sample output of this program. Passing 1D array to function. By default, arrays are passed to function by reference, even though we do not need to write reference operator, that is ampersand symbol, in front of array name. Why? The reason is, since array store huge number of values, it is much faster and more economical to pass arrays by reference instead of wasting the time and memory copying the values of the array into other arrays. Example, the following function signature accepts an array x as a reference parameter, and it also accepts the number of entries in array, that is size of array. Void return type mean no return type. Process is name of function, user defined function. It's passing of array. A reference of array will be passed and its size of array. It's an example of passing 1D array to a function. Hash include iostream. Hash include string using namespace std. It's a main function. Int v of 7. It's declaration of array having capacity of 7 elements. First 4 values are initialized in this array. Rest 3 values will be initialized with 0. It's another array having capacity 4 and initialized with these 4 values. It's called to function display by passing array v, that is reference of array v, that is capacity of array v, and again call the display function to display elements of array w. It's reference of array w and its capacity of array w. When this display function will be executed, it will call to this display function. Function definition will be executed by display, that is int x, and receive capacity of array 7 in variable n. Then use loop to process this array, that is int I is equal to 0, I is less than n. In this case n will be 7. Display elements of array x. Here array x in first case is representing actually array v. Its end line. Now execute this display function with these two parameters, that is reference of array w. The content of array will store in this variable, that is int x array. Then 4 will copy in n. The loop will display contents of second array, that is w array. Its output of this program, the values of v array 7 values, first 4 are given values, next 3 are 0 values, and the values of w array, that is 10, 20, 30 and 40.